back to this cold weather. But I will say this: if you have not been out of town or you haven't had a family vacation, trust me, taking your family out and enjoying them will change your life. I also came in hot last night and had to speak at the Leaders Network meeting this morning. And shout out to the Leaders Network, Brother Cherry, Pastor Hatch, Pastor Fields, Pastor Ackery. I can't forget my main man, Pastor Ackery, for trusting me to be the leader of their business division and also asking me to do the prophetic challenge this morning. And I want to challenge you like I did in the room. We cannot wait on change to happen. We got to go out and make it happen. So this moment is not just for words, but for work, not just for prayer, but for plans, and not just for talk, but for action. So listen, we're gonna do just that. We got a hot show for you today. We are moving fast. We have some amazing guests. We're kicking it off with the greatest alderman in the city of Chicago, if I do say so myself. That's none other than Alderman Chris Taliaferro from the 29th Ward will be joining us up next. And then we have Miss Julia Mezer. She'll correct me when she gets here. And of course, we're closing it out with West Side's finest, Winona Redman. We got Deborah Williams going to be in the building. We just got a great show. So listen, as Charmaine from Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken always says, call your friends and your frenemies and tell them to tune in to the Brunch Bunch right here on Inspiration 1390. All right.
Yeah, I just got back from Tampa.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I went. We went to Orlando last week,
Oh.
and then I dropped them off at the Tampa airport. Cheaper tickets.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You know what? I thought we were gonna be in the.
Mhm.
Well, we thought about Orlando, but then we got
Yeah,
family in Tampa, and then I was booked to host an event in
yeah.
Apollo Beach. So I was like, oh well, we just gonna stay in Apollo Beach and listen.
We did the Disney cruise.
Oh, did you? How
Yeah,
was that?
man, Disney cruises. Yeah, this is probably one of the best now, for family environment. Yeah, for family environment, you can't be beat. Yeah.
I've never been on a cruise, but Valencia just said we gotta take the kids,
You
so they
can't
gotta be
take.
Disney.
Most people think the boat rocks, but it don't. It's just like being on. Yeah, it's just like being on land.
Zoe, fast forward these commercials. Drop what's going on. Yeah, cut a few out to the back end. No. So we're supposed to go back for MJ's birthday
Oh,
at
okay.
the end of the month. Yeah, she don't want to do a birthday party. She said, how about the whole family? We just go to Disney. I know. So we're coming in after this, right? Zoe, Zoe. Okay. Joining us today is Alderman Chris Taliaferro of Chicago's 29th Ward. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, retired Chicago police sergeant, and licensed attorney. He's dedicated his life to public service. Elected in 2015, he now chairs the City Council's Committee on Police and Fire. He works closely on public safety, emergency response, and accountability across the city. Outside of City Hall, he's a proud husband and father who believes in building stronger communities through service and leadership. Welcome to the Brunch Bunch, Alderman Chris Taliaferro.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. It's so great to be here, and thank you for the great works that you're doing in the community as well.
I thank you for
Appreciate it.
your
Appreciate it.
service,
So, to all
definitely.
Marines, Semper Fidelis.
All right, listen, Alderman Taliaferro, you are doing some amazing work. I am proud to be a West Sider and a resident of the 29th Ward, business owner in the 29th Ward. But let's go in for those that don't know. You served in the Marines, you've been on Chicago Police Department, and now as Alderman. How have those experiences shaped your approach to leadership and public service?
I'd say my service in the Marine Corps, especially, and my service with the Chicago Police Department, which ultimately gave me the reason as why I felt I could make a difference on the
Hmm.
West Side. They've been very instrumental in my growth as a leader,
Hmm.
and I still apply some of the principles of leadership that I learned while serving in the Marine Corps, as well as my time in the Chicago Police Department.
Wow. And that says a lot as
Yeah.
well, because we definitely know in the Marine Corps there the structure.
Yeah.
I have two cousins who served in the Marines, and my father is an Army veteran.
Oh, okay.
So,
And I did that as well. I'm a veteran of the Army National Guard, as well as the Marine Corps.
oh wow,
Yeah.
you're not playing around. So, as chair of the city council's committee on police and fire, which I was just in the room with Area 4 chief, who
Okay.
is the former 15th
Yes, he
district
is.
commander, Brother Parham, Chief Parham, and of course our new 11th district commander. So we were talking about public safety. What are some of the current priorities or initiatives you're focused on to improve public safety in Chicago?
Well, I think our superintendent Snelling is doing a wonderful job with improving public safety. In fact, across the board, we're seeing a decrease in a lot of our statistics. For example, we're seeing a decrease in murders or a
Hmm.
decrease in violent crimes. Um, we are seeing some increases in some of the smaller, and I shouldn't say any crime is small, but we are seeing some increases in some areas of crime. And so I think as he continues to focus on that, as he continues to focus on providing a better and safer city of Chicago, we from a legislative perspective have to continue to focus on presenting the best police department
Yeah.
that we can. And that's one where our communities feel very, very comfortable with engaging. And I think that's instrumental in reducing crime as well.
Well, and I was in the room with Deputy Mayor Gary Gatewood,
Yeah.
who is over public safety, and he brought up something that was very significant. He said, of course, the media highlighted the 200 kids in Streeterville, but the next day didn't talk about the 1,500 kids that were in Navy Pier for the City Youth Summit and had no issues and there was no violence. And he also talked about the decrease in crime in the city. So I'm glad to know that you're on the other end of that. Now, community engagement has been a key part of your work. Can you tell us about some of the upcoming events in the 29th Ward, like your Shred Days or other initiatives residents should know about?
Well, I think it's important that we do remain and keep an active presence through the ward. That's from engaging with our seniors, which we have. And sometimes our seniors can be looked at as a forgotten community, but they are not, especially in the 29th Ward. And so we have monthly senior events where we have pizza days at our senior residences. We have bingo at our senior residences. We put on a quarterly senior a bingo event that's where we invite seniors throughout the ward. Um, but we are having our shred events coming up this summer. Our weekly community meetings. We do a community meeting every single Wednesday except the second Wednesday of each month. And we host a weekly ward night where we could have one-on-one conversations with our residents. I think it's very important to keep active in our ward, especially throughout the summer where we're going to see most of our residents begin to leave the house and enjoy the warmer
Hmm.
city of Chicago.
Now, how important are events like the Shred Days in helping residents stay connected and informed, especially when it comes to safety, privacy, and community resources?
Well, it's very important. I think many times our resident that are not able to get out in some cases, it's very important that they see that we are out there working on their behalf. And it's an opportunity for them to meet their elected officials, not just aldermen, but state reps, state senators, commissioners. It's a great opportunity for them to come out and engage with their elected officials. It does help to keep and produce a more vibrant neighborhood and a more vibrant community. Um, and that's why I think, from my office, I consistently engage with my staff on how we can better reach out to those in our wards.
I love it. And so I asked the question to Deputy Mayor Kenya Merritt, who is Austin
Yes,
resident, West Sider. With
29th Ward resident.
29th Ward, we have a lot of initiatives happening in the city, some community development. Of course, I asked when will Austin get the missing middle so that we can be prepared. But what are some of the things that's happening in your ward, development wise, business wise,
Yeah.
that you want the people to know about?
And this is one thing that I'm very very happy to be a part of. Um, our mayor has really put his foot down to make sure that we have development on the west side. But in particular, he's been very instrumental in bringing the Aspire Center to the Austin community, which is going to help with job development, job readiness. But also, we are, as you know, Marcel, we are opening our very first full service grocery store in the
Yes.
29th Ward on the west side of Chicago. I'm very proud of folks like Morse Reed and Darnell Shield and Liz Avenue for bringing and seeing the 29th Ward as an area to where we can prosper. Most folks don't know, and you know, I know you got a ton of listeners, but the 29th Ward has a youth and family center through Build on the
Hmm.
west side of Chicago that this mayor and the previous administration played a very important role in bringing to the west side of Chicago. So we have a family and youth center. So we are really rich in the opportunities that we're bringing to the 29th Ward and on the west side for the west side residents.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm often in the groups making sure people know what's coming. I was
Yes, you
so happy to see gates up across the street and development getting ready. Austin will have a Batters and Berries and the Bruce soon. And then I got a chance to meet with State Rep Camille Lilly while I was in Florida because I
are.
thought I'd be home. But shout out to the work she's doing in Springfield to help Austin in development. And we got some stuff that's coming up, and that's because we got a great aldermanic leader, right? Because
Hmm.
these things can't happen in the community without the alderman's support and just upliftment. And so kudos to you
And
for.
I certainly want to appreciate our state representatives, our state senators for their partnerships. You know, as I have told everyone, State Representative Lilly and State Senator Harmon are very instrumental in bringing the 29th Ward $8 million
Mm,
so that we could have our third public library.
wow.
And so these partnerships become very important. As we know, they work very carefully and very diligently with the owners and developers of Batter and Berries so that we could have that oomph in
Yep.
Chicago that we see in other neighborhoods flourish on the west side. So partnerships with our other elected officials, to include our commissioners, uh, are very important in building a vibrant community.
Yep. Well, you know what, Alderman Taliaferro, do you have anything special coming up that you want people to know about that you don't want them to forget?
Well, we will be putting out, we love having our mothers participate in our Mother's Day event. We have a great giveaway. My staff is very instrumental in putting a wonderful giveaway. We partnered with the Phoenix Outreach of Chicago in giving away great, I should say, gifts
Yeah.
to the West Side residents of the 29th Ward and the Northwest Side residents of the 29th Ward. So stay tuned for having a great Mother's Day event coming up again this year.
Now, how can people connect with you, your office, if they're saying, I'm a resident of the 29th Ward, or I want to become a resident, I need to connect? How can they connect with
Well,
you?
they can reach out to us at on our website at ALD Taliaferro. That's ALD as in Alderman. Then my last name TALIAFERRO.com. You can get a lot of information on that site, which allows you to sign up for our monthly newsletter. And you can call our office at 773-237-6460.
I love it. You know what? Thanks again. Oh, a shout out to the First Lady of the 29th Ward, Melissa Edwards Taliaferro, who is tuned in right now. And she is a supporter of the Brunch Bunch, so I do appreciate her for tuning in. She said, hey, I know him. Well, let's give another warm Brunch Bunch welcome to
Thank you.
Alderman Chris Taliaferro, the Alderman of the 29th Ward. To connect, check him out at aldtaliaferro.com. That's aldtaliaferro.com. And I know your office and I are working, and we will have you back, and we're so excited.
I really look forward and thank you guys so much for having me on the Brunch Bunch.
Well,
Appreciate it.
listen, we are going to keep the praises going because when praises go up, the blessings come down. It's Karen Clark Shear, praise up right here on the Brunch Bunch. All right, Alderman, we're going to get a
Hey,
picture
thank you
out
guys
here.
so much. Appreciate it.
real estate transaction and estate planning with care and expertise. Julia is also the proud owner of Bicetto.
Bye, Kettle.
By Kettle, I knew it was that. By Kettle Spin Studio on Chicago's South Side. I won't hold that against her. She's creating an empowering space for health and wellness. From real estate to fitness, she's a powerhouse driven by service, passion, and purpose. Please welcome Jules Measure. What's up, Jules?
Hey.
Listen, you are full of energy. I love it.
Listen, you gotta be. We woke up this morning, we opened our eyes, we're blessed. So
You know what, Jules? You got to have that type of high energy with all that you do.
absolutely.
So, as an attorney specializing in real estate law, what exactly is your role in a typical real estate transaction for those that don't know? And why is it important for buyers or sellers to have legal support?
Well, the thing is, we don't know what we don't know, right? And so it's my responsibility to help first-time home buyers and even investors have a very seamless transaction when they're buying their property. So from the onset of the contract, I make sure that a buyer's earnest money is protected throughout the whole transaction. I make sure that I negotiate, any deficiencies in the property, make sure that my clients get the most when it comes to credits or any repairs that need to be done. And really, I make sure that my clients are buying exactly what it is that they think that they are buying.
That is good. I just had a thought. I did a deal without a realtor
How'd it go for you? How'd it go for you?
without a lawyer. And you know what? When you just said the most important thing, they did not want to give me my earnest money back.
I know they didn't.
And I wasn't represented, but luckily I had a lawyer friend that I was able to send that email. I still didn't get all the money back though.
Right.
I only got I recouped about 70%, but
You know
I'll
what
never
would
do
have
that
happened
again.
if I represented you?
What's that?
You would have gotten 100% of your earnest money back.
See, you know what? I'm glad I know you now. So once someone has purchased a property, what steps should they take to protect that investment from a legal and long-term planning perspective?
So buying the property is the easy part, right? Getting the real estate is the easy part, but protecting the real estate is the tough part. And building legacy is the tough part. And so a lot of people are very, very scared to talk about estate planning because they think that if we mention it today, we're going to die today, right? But that's not how life works. So I'm a big believer in being proactive instead of having to be reactive. So we can put your real estate in a trust to make sure that in the event, God forbid, something happens to you, that your real estate is protected and you want who you want to inherit it and not who the state of Illinois decides on your behalf.
And be stuck in probate
Forever. Where the retainers start at $5,000, $10,000, and that's for a transaction with no bumps. Clearly, I went into the wrong area of law. Should have been a probate attorney, but but I can make sure that you do not have to pay that $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and that your real estate is not tied up, and that your family does get the property that you worked so hard for by setting up a very simple and affordable trust.
I love it. I got a million questions, but I'm gonna go back to the script. I don't want no smoke. I want to make sure, because that's important. And trust law, we need good lawyers that understand trust and can help us set that
Absolutely.
up. So you often talk about the importance of estate planning in connection with real estate. How does that tie in, and when should a client start thinking about it?
Immediately. So a client should start thinking about it immediately. I have a lot of young clients that are buying real estate now, right? There may be new families that are being formed. They just had a baby. And so, us young folks, and I say us because
that's why when you said I got a lot of young clients, I'm like, yeah, because you're young.
I feel young. But us young folks, we don't think about estate planning because we think that we're invincible. Nothing is ever going to happen to us. I'm too young. I don't need to worry about it. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know if you all know, we just survived a whole epidemic. Did you all see that coming? I didn't see it coming. And, we lost millions of people who did not have their estate planning in place because they didn't see that coming. So again, it is much more affordable to be proactive than it is to be reactive.
Yeah, that is good. And I'm glad that you're educating, because unfortunately, a lot of real estate attorneys that I've dealt with don't do trust. They can't help you set that up. So for you to be able to do that is important, because it saves them time and money.
Absolutely.
Because then they don't have to go find someone else to do that. So
absolutely.
At the closing
I'm
table,
a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. So let's talk about that. what all do you offer on the law side before we go to the health side?
Yeah, so I'm a transactional real estate attorney. I handle all transactional real estate in terms of buying and selling property, residential and commercial. And then we handle the estate planning aspect and entity creation. So LLCs, corporations, things like that, in order to protect our clients, especially my investor clients, from frivolous litigation and such. So yeah, we're kind of a one-stop shop for anything associated to real estate.
I love it. I love it. And having those entities, because I know a lot of investors who they just buy, they don't know that they should
Absolutely.
have these properties in trust. They should have different LLCs.
Absolutely.
For, you ever wonder why 233 North Michigan, the building is owned by 233 North Michigan?
Exactly.
It didn't start
There's a
that way,
reason
but
for-
they got
there's
it.
a reason.
Yeah,
There's a reason.
So real estate can be overwhelming, especially for the first-time buyers. What are some common mistakes you see people make when they don't have that right team in place, without using my testimony?
Well, you, for starters. But the real important part about real estate is making sure that you're working with a team of people that you trust and allowing that team to lead you through the transaction. I work with a lot of first-time female buyers, and they often bring their dads into the transaction, or their uncle or their auntie who hasn't bought a property in 25 years. And everybody has an opinion. And what ends up happening more often than not is, if we follow the opinions of our family members instead of trusting the professionals that we've hired to work, we're going to do what? We're going to lose what?
Yeah,
our earnest money, right? We're going to lose our earnest money, and we're not going to be able to get all the best options for us in the transaction. So my biggest takeaway for everyone is work with a team of professionals that you trust and that you will allow to lead you through the transaction. If you don't trust your team, go find a new one.
I love it. And you're talking about a team, right? So what does a knowledgeable team look like when it comes to real estate, and who should be a part of that circle to ensure smooth and protected transactions?
Well, it's really different strokes for different folks, right? Because it's depending on what it is that you want to do. Are you looking for a primary residence? Is there a specific area that you'd like to live in, right? So you want to find an agent, a real estate agent that specializes in what it is that you want. Are you looking to buy a multi-unit? I have several agents that are multi-unit queens, right? That's all they do.
Mhm.
So I'll put you in touch with them. And then again, it depends on what are you trying to do? How much money do you have? What's your credit score? We got to get you in touch with a lender that's going to be able to handhold you and walk you through the process. Make sure that you're approved for that loan, right?
Mhm.
A lot of us, we got champagne tasting a beer budget, myself included. Okay. But let's make the most of the money that we do have. And then as the attorney, I step in and make sure that we wrap this up with a bow on it and everyone walks away happy.
You're sounding better and better every time I ask a question. So now let's figure out, I think I can correlate the two, but you're also the owner of a spin studio.
I am.
How do you balance your legal work and entrepreneurship? And do you see any crossover between the two worlds?
Absolutely. So I have a surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
I have a spin studio on the south side, and I got a spin studio on the west side.
Whoa! All right,
You're
all
welcome.
right.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome. So by Kettle, we got 2 locations, one out south in Chatham, and one out west. And so there's a huge correlation between fitness and really any profession, right? Because at the end of the day, fitness for me is not so much about looking good as it is about feeling good, right? So we can turn to food, we can turn to drugs, we can turn to alcohol. Those are not problem solvers.
Mm.
But what I know is that when I get out of a workout and I have a clear mind, whatever seemed really, really tough no longer feels that way.
You got amen corner here. Everybody's shaking their head up and down, going, yep.
I myself lost 100 pounds, and
Wow.
I know the woman that I was 100 pounds ago and the woman I am today. And there's no way that I would have been able to accomplish the things that I accomplish on a daily basis if I had to drag another 100 pounds with me, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
And that's an amazing testimony.
Thank you.
And so you didn't just open this spin studio because you heard about it. You actually went through the transformation yourself.
I'm a big believer of putting my money where my mouth is. There's no way that, people can really trust you in what you do if you yourself have not experienced what they're experiencing. So, from day one to now and falling off and getting back to it, I got you.
I love it. So What's one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out in either real estate or entrepreneurship?
Just start. Okay. Fear is a very hindering emotion, and most people are just scared. But what lies on the other side of fear is always success.
Wow. Just start.
Just
That's
start.
simple philosophy.
That's it.
I like to call it. And fear is false evidence appearing real.
I love it.
Sometimes we allow the fears of ourselves or unfortunately close family and friends because sometimes they project their fear on us and it stops us from doing what we need to be doing. Well, listen, clearly God has called you to do what you're doing because you're not just doing it, you're doing it well.
I appreciate
And
you.
so for people who are listening and saying, I like this lady, I like what she's talking about, I want to work with her, how can they connect with you?
So you can hit me up on IG, Jules, JULZ_Mez, MEZ, or shoot me an email at Julia at measure, MEZHER, lawgroup.com.
All right, listen. Make sure you're connecting with Jules. That's Instagram, JULZ_MEZ, or go to meslerlawgroup.com. That's MEZHER lawgroup.com. And then I'm sure you can hit the contact button to connect. We want to give a warm brunch welcome to Jules.
Y'all. Thank you for having me.
Listen, we pray nothing but success, and we know because you put faith, and I heard it in the conversation first, that you are a winner and you will continue to win. And I dedicate this song to you. It's Charles Jenkins Winning right here on the Brunch Bunch.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
Of course, thank you.
Got recycled. What came in the
So I don't have to read her bio when I look at we let's see, what's your formal title? CEO, founder of DW Provision Consulting Services. Every time I've seen Deborah, whether it was with her HSI days, whether it was
Mm-hmm.
with Deborah has always been connected to the community with the pastors, the leaders network.
Yes.
She's just always been connected. So when she started West Side Women of Wisdom and Inspiration, she got to 100 real quick.
Yes.
So this is the 6th year you're doing a group of West Side Women Connected, but she marked the milestone. Was it a year ago
In
that
2023.
in 2023 she marked the milestone of 100 West Side Women Connected?
Wow.
So this Saturday coming up, uh, Deborah, introduce yourself and your background. I just said you're the best networker, but you've got an event coming up this Saturday that's sold out probably. 100 West Side Women Connected, Purple and Pearls edition, but your recognition dinner, you have 25 new groups
Yes.
coming in. But tell us, introduce yourself in your own way so that we can make sure Mr. Thurman, the new husband of 2 years now,
3.
the new husband of 3 years, so that he makes sure that you were well introduced. And then talk about this program real quick. And we are going to hear from my new best friend, and so happy to work with Karen Galbraith, who is the journalist in residence with Win Win Communications, because we're going to talk about Dear Me Care Circle. We're going to talk about your mama podcast. So I'm so excited to have two young women in the house.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Thank
welcome,
So,
you.
welcome, welcome.
so Marcel was just with you at Leaders.
Yes.
So give your 3-minute intro of how many different hats and titles you have before you tell about how folks can come or be turned away for Saturday.
Oh wow, 3 minutes to talk about all the different hats that I wear. But anyway, thank you,
Mama of Nisi,
Marcel.
Mama
Yes.
of Nisi, our daughter. We all claim
Oh
Nisi.
yeah, me
Yes,
too. At least you got that shout out in the meeting this morning from the
that's right.
deputy mayor. I picked
I
up.
text her. I'm like, oh, they just called your name.
Deborah Jr.
So
So
yes,
you're mom of Deborah of Nisi.
Janicia. Yes. So first of all, thank you, um, Warnona, and thank you, Marcel, for always lifting up me and always inviting me to this radio show. I feel like I'm going national when I come on the lunch brunch, and so I'm thinking that doing these local events and getting this platform is something that God has blessed me with. I
Your gift makes room for you, dear.
Yes, that's what happens. And so I always wanted to give back to the women that poured so much into me, my mentors over the years, my godmothers. I have so many people over the west side that really shaped who I am today. And
You
so
can drop names. I'm a name dropper.
okay, so name drop. So I wanted to make sure I honored Miss Vera Davis, Congressman Davis, right?
Absolutely.
She's
She's
been a
one of mine.
mentor. She's been a mentor for me from the NAACP. I wanted to honor all of the
West
different,
Side NAACP.
yes, the West Side NAACP. I wanted to honor some of the ladies that are my godmothers, Miss Thelma Ware, Miss Ernestine Clark, who's always there, follow me around, and then they're my helpers. I put them to work. So all the adventures and everything that I do, I have to bring them along, and they help me out. My sister, Shirley Williams, she's always there for me. And so one year I said, I'm going to honor all these great ladies that pours into me. And then the next year I'm like, oh, I missed so many. So I had to have the
Mm.
West Side Women of Wisdom and Inspiration, people that inspire me again. And so then I had that year. And then after a while, it got to be 4 years down the line, and it was 100 women. And I had the bright idea to recognize all 100 women at one time. And that was a bright idea. So, but they all were excited. They all accepted. They all let me use their name, their picture, and they were just so honored to be a part of such a great gathering of West Side women. And so now in this stage, this year is our 6th annual, and we are 100 plus women. I have to start saying 100 plus women because on this photograph that I have this time, this poster is 116 women.
Wow.
So we've exceeded 100
And
this
you're
year.
recognizing 25 women this
Yes,
year of
and then every year,
2025.
so they like, Deborah, don't honor no all 100. So, but I still like to keep remembering my other past women. So, but this year I have, I probably added, look like 18 more to the circle. And so we have Commissioner Tara Stamps. We have,
Outstanding.
yes,
Yes.
yes, we have Sergeant Rayanna Hubbard. She's raised through the ranks of CPD, and now she's a sergeant at the Chicago Police Department. We have the new commissioners of the police department, like Miss Angela Green. We have a black-owned fitness center on the west side, and Katrina Cole, she brings hundreds of women
Oh
to
yeah.
exercise
And
at
it's
6
so
in the
that
morning,
health piece
12.
is important.
Yeah,
And I know
6
you
and
have your
12 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You can't get down Chicago Avenue for all the women that she brings together to get fit. And
that's
so
so
that is so
important for
amazing.
us to be healthy.
Yes.
So you've
So,
got 18 women coming in. And what's so great about Deborah, as I always say, when we do stakeholder engagement, we work the whole stakeholder wheel, the elected
Hmm.
officials,
hmm
the
yes.
businesses, the
Yes.
faith-based, the pastors, and
Yes.
but you've got all of the
Yes.
above. And you have me in public relations and media with the Dorothy Tucker, a West
yes.
Sider, grew up right next to Uncle Remus, Charmaine Riquette, and
Yes.
you've had Charmaine as a
Yes.
business owner. So
Yes.
you've got this event. We always run out of time, but I want you to. So it's Saturday, April 12th. The time. How do people find your website and Facebook in case it's possible to find a few more tickets? We'll post on both of our
Yes, yes.
social
yes.
media.
So DW Provision Consulting Services, that's my new consulting services where you can find our website at www.dwprovision.com. You can get some more information about this event and other opportunities to work with me. I'm a nonprofit consultant. I help people with grant writing, nonprofit startup, business startup. And then I also can find you space right down the street from my office at the Dream Center.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you need a co-working space, you just starting out, we can send you right down the street to Dream Center with Action Marcel Jackson. So
Yeah.
we are happy to be here again promoting this event. Yes, we have everybody from elected officials to, our elected official from the west side. We running things. We have the majority leaders, Kimberly Lifer, majority leader or assistant majority leader, Camille Lilly. We have
West Side
Lakeisha.
Black
Look,
elected
yeah,
officials share them
Lakeisha
amidst,
Collins,
and Lakeisha
Senator
Collins is
LaCollins,
the new head
Yeah,
of the
the
Black
Democrat.
Caucus.
Yes. So
So,
so yeah, they all come
so
from the west side of Chicago, and we so proud of them. We had a treasurer of the city of Chicago, Melissa
West
Ernest,
Side.
and then I wanted to go from top to the bottom, so elected official all the way down to community advocates, people that's just on the front line and on the ground running and trying to help our community and our youth. And so we wanted to also include those people. They don't hardly get a lot of recognition, but we wanted to make sure that we recognize some of the community advocates and bring them to the forefront.
and you've had young people because Nisi has
Yes,
young people, and you got she
yes,
actually has a program going
yes,
downtown with young
yes.
people.
My daughter is the lead for the My Shot My Future program for the mayor's office for the Austin community. So she hosts events for young people almost every other weekend, and she's also having a big youth conference on June 7th. Where she take youth downtown for this probably our fourth annual taking youth downtown in a positive manner and showing them that they can stay in these big hotels and not have any.
We'll have to have
Yes.
Nisi come on as long as she does the spoken word when she comes on to talk about June 7th. But to transition before we run out of time, Deborah mentioned she helps nonprofits.
Yeah.
And, my mother, Lucy Redmond Wright, she declared independence on July 4th of 2023 after an illness with cancer.
Mm.
She was a retired NICU nurse. Her birthday was March 25th, but the caregiving for her was so overwhelming.
Yes.
And I know you were a caregiver for your mom, you and
Yes.
your sister for 12 years. In the
Yes.
last couple years, you actually got married as a brand new bride and moved mom in.
Yes.
So we started
Shout out to Brother Thurman.
we started Dear Me Care Circle. And dearmecarecircle.org, we will have our second annual brunch celebrating family caregivers. And I had to figure out what to do for the first Mother's Day without my mom on earth. But God
Yes.
prepares you, because if
Yes.
I had not seen how difficult the last days were, I know where she's at. She had
Yes.
she had a place to go, and they're having all kind of a reunion upstairs. But Karen Galbraith is my new best friend, a very talented journalist. She's from Chicago, just returned from Chicago. Karen,
Mhm.
Taryn,
Mhm.
I always say Taryn like Karen, but Taryn Galbraith Welcome back. Give a quick
Yes, welcome
overview.
back. Welcome back.
Well,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
thank you,
And we're
everyone.
getting, you were a caregiver, and she's gonna help moderate our spring series of webinars and help with the Your Mama podcast to talk about family caregivers. But Taryn, come on in
Well,
your own way. Give a quick
mhm,
overview of your background because she's
mhm.
a very talented journalist.
Well, I'm born and raised in the Chicago area. I'm really excited to be here, and I think the transition is really natural, coming from 100 women, because about 80% of women globally are 80% of caregivers are women.
Amen.
You
Hmm.
Yep.
know, globally, and so I think it's so important, and I really want to commend Winona for everything you're doing to support caregivers because it's a very lonely existence. Sometimes, and it comes, you mentioned moving in your mother right
Yes.
after you got married.
Yes.
And that's the
Hmm.
thing, those things come up when, at the most untimely,
Yes.
and the unexpected times in life. And it's
Yes.
really sometimes certain people who just step up. It was untimely for me. I had just finished grad school and
And
I
you
cared
have a
from,
milestone though.
I
You
do.
don't. You have an unusual story. You had one of the oldest
Hmm.
family members. You got to share
Well,
that.
I caregave for my aunt. You never want to say your favorite aunt,
Right, right.
right? But my aunt that I was the closest with was my aunt Aggie, and she was 107 years old when
Oh
she
Oh,
A
passed.
hundred
wow.
and
wow.
seven years old.
But
Wow.
she
Yes.
was my heart, and she was
Yes.
always full of fun. She played in the floor. She's really my grandmother's aunt, my grandmother's mother's sister.
Wow.
And she played in the floor with my grandmother. She played in the floor with my mother, and she played in the floor with me.
Oh
And
wow.
she was just fun. She didn't have children of her own, but she would call it, devilish. If you made the mistake of turning
Yes.
around and tying your shoe or picking something up, she couldn't help herself, but to just pinch you and touch stuff. But she was full of fun, and I didn't know, you pick up things you didn't know you pick up, and I got a lot of fun loving spirit from her, and
Yes.
she is just a light, and I'm so glad that I had that time with her. And I
Yes.
wanted to say that also for caregivers and people who find themselves unexpectedly caregiving, you're a special person. And thank you, Winona, for giving support to caregivers because it can be a very lonely
Hmm.
existence, but an experience. But I really value and love that I had that time with her.
And that's why we're fortunate to have a talented journalist, a talented storyteller. We're really getting, we've started the nonprofit DearMeCareCircle.org. This May 10th brunch is going to be at the old Cook County Hospital, which is now Hyatt House, Hyatt Place. Thank you, Tyrone Studemeyer, for always supporting us. But it will be a brunch 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will be celebrating family caregivers because some of us, those of us that are professionals, we had Hermine Hartman, Cheryl Grace, and others. This year, Nate Rogers will be our moderator. He's from Fox News. He's cared for his mother since he was 20 years old.
Oh
We have
wow.
honorees that include Marcel Jackson. Marcel couldn't make it last year. He's an honoree this year. All that he's done for both his mate and his children. So we have that, dearmecarecircle.org. We're going to be about sold out real quick, but you can go there to look at the tickets for VIP, the general admission. Kim Stratton is the singer, but we have other honorees that we are excited to recognize, and we
And
will.
is it too late to nominate someone?
You can still nominate. You can go to dearmecarecircle.org and share your story. We want to encourage folks to share their story. We will have webinars. We will have other programs. But and Taryn is helping set up and shape and mold. But our website will continue to have information and resources for caregivers.
It's a great opportunity to be a part of this, and like I said, I think it's a huge gift to the community and to
Yes.
caregivers. People talk about being a voice for the voiceless, but caregivers are often very unseen, voiceless. People are
Hmm.
often caregiving,
Mhm.
and no, people in their own family don't even know that's what's really going on. And
Mhm.
so it's really important that they have support and also have a voice and are celebrated. So thank you, Winona, and thank you
No,
for.
thank you for being a part of it because we will have those of us that are professional family caregivers. But Marcel, to your point, we also are recognizing the caregivers that family caregivers hire. There are programs and services. Dr.
Mhm.
David Ansel is phenomenal. He, told me we have the caregiving initiative at Rush. We've got all of these, and so we have policymakers. So we will have a panel discussion on who cares for caregivers. As
Hmm.
Taryn was alluding to, caregivers, Sandy Lynn last year was saying self-care is not selfish. Caregivers have to care for
Yes.
themselves. So we have different categories of awards, but we have policymakers that take it personal. Leader Kimberly Lightford, she cares for her mom. Rep
Yes.
Camille Lilly cares for her mom, cared for her dad. And Monica Gordon, the clerk, phenomenal. Before, when she was commissioner before clerk, she passed, legislation for caregiving. And there's financial burdens that need to be addressed. So we got policy makers at the table. We've got attorney Karen Freeman, who is the head of the Chicago Urban League. Karen cared for her mom till she was in her 90s. And so we've got Dr. Ronald Sam. So we have May 10th information, food for the soul, but also food for the spirit for family caregivers and caregivers. DearMeCareCircle.org. You will hear more, but we want everybody related to this to really know the subject. So
Mhm.
we're fortunate Tara knows the subject. Deborah definitely will be one of my Your
Mhm.
Mama podcast stars
Hmm.
because we are doing a series. So we got lots of other names that we could drop, but we always run out of time. But DearMeCareCircle.org. My sister Rochelle Simpson is one of the officers for Dear Me Care Circle nonprofit. We've got Dr. Sonia Stinson, who is one of our newest board members, but it's a privilege.
Go
Mhm.
Love,
and
love
nominate
is a
somebody.
privilege.
Yes, Sergeant Dan Allen, he's taken care of his mom for many years, and also Reggie
Those
Litter from
men
the Caribbean.
caregivers, they're men
Yes.
caregivers. So Twyler Jenkins is one of the people that has joined the event, and her
Mhm.
fiance Algene cares for both his parents. So
Mhm.
we are the late Willie Taplin Barrow at Rainbow Push used to say, we're not so much disconnected. I mean, we're not so much divided as we are disconnected. We are connecting family caregivers to be strength for each other.
Yep.
And for caregivers also, that it's not just your parents. It's just sometimes it's your child. Another
Yep.
another
Your mate,
relative,
your your child.
exactly. And so people. It's so important that people have support.
November 1st, we will be doing the caregiving expo so we can feed into ourselves and have a ball.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Winona, for thinking enough to care for caregivers. And I often say sometimes it's not until we can fight, we can be in the Leaders Network and fight the fight, but it's not until we go through some of these fights
Yes.
that we fight harder because we know. Yes,
Uh,
and we're praying for Reverend Ackery, his wife. He's the
Absolutely.
caretaker right now. His
Yes.
wife is in the hospital, but
Yes.
we believe God. Shout out to you, Winona, for caring for caregivers and just great people doing great work. And Deborah, thank you for
Mhm.
saluting West Side women because
Yes.
I think the world wouldn't move without them.
That's
And you
right.
know what, Taryn? Thank you for joining Winona because I
Yes.
know she's already doing great impact, but with somebody great like you on her team, that helps
Yes.
take the impact even further.
Mm.
And believers, we thank you. Yes, we will post the website information. The comments are coming through. It'll be on our social media, dearmecarecircle.org. Believers, we want to thank you for rocking with us each and every day because we wouldn't be who we are on the Brunch without the believers listening. So we're going to encourage you to keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know that you love them. Tell someone that you do know that you love them. Love will begin to spread like a wildfire. Tamara Fair, in your absence, we love you.
Yes.
Believers,
We
we
We love
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 you.
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 Baby Eminem, we
Yes.
We
love
love
you
you.
Love
too.
you
Up
too.
next, we out.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we right there, you
Woo.
know.
They got a lot in.
We
Yes.
did.
And and like she said, there's this whole sheet of folks.
That's nice when I saw that earlier.
Do Puerto Rican?
Yes, I do. Winona,
Okay.
but you can edit that however you like. I just kind of gave a little basis. See you, Facebook.
How you change the text?
Okay.
DearMeCareCircle.org, Letitia.